Walking these streets, shadows fall, lost in a world, echoes call, searching for life, voices true, St. James Church in the heart of the blue.
Well, welcome to our 75th anniversary conversations. We're here with Pastor Sean Willman, who grew up in the congregation. And now, where are you pastor at right now?
I serve at St. Paul's in Hillsdale, Michigan.
Okay, and that's Missouri Synod congregation,
right.
like us as well. And so, you kind of grew up in the congregation. So, how did you become a member?
I was in early elementary school. My family, we had lived in southern Indiana. And that's where I was baptized in a Missouri Synod congregation in Madison, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
And when we came back here, this is my father's hometown, we had originally attended what had become, since my father had left, the ELCA parish downtown St. John's. And after a couple of years, my grandparents and my family all came over here to St. James. We all came together as a unit, and there were a number of folks that my father had grown up with in Luther League as a kid, and so we came there. I'm not going to get the year right, but maybe 92, 93, something like that.
Now, when were you confirmed?
I was confirmed in 2000.
Okay, in 2000. Okay, and then now you went to Concordia, one of the Concordias.
That's right. I attended Concordia, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
And there in Mequon.
Okay, and then went to Fort Wayne.
Yeah, that's right. I attended Concordia Theological Seminary from 2009 to 2013.
Okay. Yeah, I attended the same place a little bit earlier than that, but yeah, good place. So what roles, what things did you do when you were in the congregation growing up here? I know we just talked, you've been gone for like 21 years, and so.
Yeah, like most kids, of course, the first thing that they let you do is acolyte.
Sure.
And so Joe Chambers trained me as an acolyte many years ago. So I did that, and then of course as you get older, you're active in youth group, and so we did lots of things there, and we had some youth group leadership. I'm sure it had an acronym. Phil Roselle, as perhaps you've found, is great with acronyms. It was a gift of his, and so I'm sure there was some acronym. But so that was certainly another role that I was able to do. And then as you get older, you help with VBS and all of the other things that go on here at the parish.
Sure. Now you also played musical instruments at the church.
Sure.
Yeah. What I heard.
Yeah, that was something pretty active that my family has always been involved with on the music side of things. Yeah. So my father and I and my sisters likewise would oftentimes play for Christmas and Easter services.
Oh, okay. And you played trumpet, right?
That's right.
Okay, because that's what your dad plays as well.
That's right.
Yeah. He talks about you guys playing together with trumpet.
Yeah, he would often either arrange stuff or transpose things for us to play, and that was a real treat.
Oh, wow. That's good. So now, what are some people that have had an impact on you here?
Well, I mentioned Joe Chambers. He was my elementary principal.
Yeah, I heard some stories there. Good stories.
Well, they're not all good. Joe taught me grace and mercy and law and gospel and all of those things, both here at church and in his office at Riverview Elementary School. So that was someone that obviously had an important impact. Pastor Carlson, of course, Phil Roselle, and then all the guys on the softball team. That was something that I formed great relationships with those guys, with Larry Wilk and Mike Klein and George Baker and a whole bunch of other guys, and that was a neat thing to get to be a part of as a young teenager, and then through high school and even back a little bit from college.
Okay. Anybody else? Or?
That's a good question. The Pritchetts, my family had known the Pritchetts for many years, and when I was young, I remember thinking about maybe going into law, and so
Oh,
had
really?
conversations with Mr. Pritchett about those things. And,
Oh, okay.
goodness, the list could go on and on. The Anthonsens were always very kind to me and put me to work occasionally, which as a teenager is kind of nice when somebody gives you opportunities to earn a few extra dollars and things like that. But yeah, gosh, so many folks here at St. James that were surrogate parents and grandparents and yeah, just wonderful relationships.
So what are some events or stories that stand out in your mind?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, that there were so many things that we did as a youth group over the years and places we went. And one of the things that sticks out in my mind is all the opportunities for service work that we had to do. And we volunteered in lots of ways at a lot of different places in town. And those were opportunities that were impressive to me as a young man.
Sure.
Lots of of course, fun activities
Sure.
that we did as a youth group in the National Youth Gathering trips that we took. First to New Orleans when I was, I think, a freshman, and then to Orlando.
Oh, so you got to go twice.
I was one of those that got to go twice.
My daughter got that as well. She had to go to Minnesota and Houston. Yeah. Cool. So, and I heard a story that I talked to you about before that your sister told about you guys, you and is it
BJ.
BJ on a plane on the way back from youth gathering where you got to control the loudspeaker system.
Yeah, all of the details are maybe a little fuzzy in my mind, but and I don't remember exactly the circumstances, but it did transpire that for some reason on this flight, back when flights used to be emptier, you remember those
Oh
days?
yeah. Now you can't turn left or right.
That's
anymore.
right,
Yeah.
and so it was the big St. James crew and a handful of other people, but it wasn't a stuffed full flight.
Oh.
And for some reason or another, they let BJ and I have the loudspeaker, and we sang some song and did something. Yeah, it was quite an event. That's for sure. There were lots of other shenanigans, I'm sure, that other people have very distinct memories of the trouble that I and others have caused over the years. That perhaps I've repressed some of those memories.
Any other events that stand out?
You know, one of the things that we did a lot of with the trips that we took to the National Youth Gathering and other things that we did as a parish, we did a lot of fundraisers.
Oh, okay.
And oftentimes those were parish events. So we'd have the 50s diner sock hop fundraiser, and those were always wonderful memories with, of course, all of our parents and other folks helping to put these things on, but then all of us kids, I don't know how much value we brought to people's lives, but they were generous in their giving and in their support. And those were certainly fun things too. I was just down in the gym thinking about when that addition was built.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's an interesting memory, remembering writing Bible verses and signing family names on the studs.
Oh, wow.
When the stud walls were in before everything was dried in, and remember likewise having Sunday school in the old kitchen.
Oh, okay.
And which is now I think the library, the last door on the right.
Yes,
hallway
yes,
there. That was the old kitchen, and it would get very cold, and we'd light the stove and crack the stove open to get some heat. So those memories and how interaction with the building and the congregation sort of changed when the big addition was added on.
Okay.
So that's certainly a significant memory there of life in the parish.
So, growing up in the church and then going into ministry, how did that? Were there people influenced you in that way or guided you in that way here? Or?
That's a great question, and the short answer is absolutely. And there's lots of different ways. One of the chief ways, of course, is Pastor Carlson sitting down with me and having a conversation about the possibility of that and why he thought that might be a good fit for me as a young man to pursue the ministry. Of course, I said, I don't think so. At first blush.
That's funny.
The Lord, as he usually does, has other plans. But one of the reasons that he shared that, of course, is because the parish had given me lots of opportunities to be involved in lots of things, and
Sure.
there were so many folks in this congregation and in my family, of course, too, that were supportive of that involvement and having kids in church and supporting the youth things that went on in the parish and all of those sorts of things
Sure.
that gave me an opportunity. This was a safe place filled with supporting and loving people, and
Yeah.
I'm sure still is today.
Oh yeah.
And that sort of thing, when a young man has a really positive interaction with the church,
Right.
is an impressive and important part of his formation. It certainly was for me. I
Sure.
know that.
Sure. That's great. That's great. So what are some significant changes that maybe happened during your time? I know you've been gone for some time, but
Yeah, so certainly the addition of the building, with the gym and the youth area and
yeah.
the Sunday school classrooms and preschool and all of those sorts of things, that this was a place that was, we'd come and play basketball on Sunday afternoons and those sorts of things, and so spending a lot of time in the building. So that change, I was reasonably young
Sure.
when that happened, but certainly that was a significant change. And I was here for a lot of growth in the parish when I was in middle school and high school years, and there were a lot of young families and those sorts of things. There was a change that went on in the parish, and
Sure.
how it's changed since I've been gone is harder to put
Yeah.
a finger
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. So how did St. James help your faith walk through the years?
Yeah, one of the things that I think about often is especially well, first of all, of course, a connection to the gifts of God, and this was a place where the word was preached and the sacraments were administered, and we as pastors sometimes take that for granted.
Right.
The nuts
right.
and bolts work of the gospel in our midst.
Right.
And my parents brought me to church every week, and
Yeah.
every week the gospel was preached and the
Yeah.
sacraments were administered, to receive Holy Communion week in and week out and learn the rhythm of the life of the church. Had an incredible impact on me. When you go away to college, as you well know, you're never really sure what's going to happen with a young person in their faith. Are the habits
Right.
that were ingrained going to stay that way? And sometimes the habits really aren't quite as ingrained.
Right.
And it was a perfectly natural thing that I would wake up on Sunday morning and go to church, because that's what I had done for the previous
Sure.
18 years of my life. And so I'm very, very thankful for the consistency of the life of St. James, and of course my parents bringing me to church as a young man.
Sure.
Yeah, so that would probably be the one thing. There was also a real premium on reading the Bible. That was always something that was at the heart of our time in Sunday school class and all of our youth events. I vividly remember, everyone brought their Bible and we opened it and we'd read it verse by verse together, and so that being familiar with reading the scriptures together with other people, praying with other people,
Sure.
is something that made a significant impact on my faith. Again, it was a very natural thing to
Yeah.
read the Bible with others, to talk about it, to pray together, and that's what I do now for a living.
Right.
in so many ways, but that being what a Christian life looks like,
Sure.
not just when you're doing it professionally, as it
Sure.
were, but that's what comes naturally to the Christian.
Yeah, I noticed that when I got here, there was a real premium on Bible study and that more than most places I've been. So yeah, I'd see how that could happen. Yeah. So what would you hope for the future of your home congregation that you grew up in?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I hope that the Lord, of course, would sustain this parish and the people gathered here, that he would sustain you, their pastor, with his word and build them up, that this would continue as it has been for so many years to be a place where the gospel is not only proclaimed, but it's lived, and in the active involvement in the community that St. James has always had, and the emphasis on service and care of neighbor, that the church would only continue that, and that God would bless that and continue to gather people together here around his gifts.
Sure. Well, is there anything I didn't ask you, or that maybe you wanted to add, or...
I can't think of it. Those were wonderful questions.
I
appreciate them very much.
Well, we certainly appreciate having you come back, and I know you're going to be here on October 19th and participate in our worship service. Looking at you and me and Pastor Carlson, looking forward to that. And
wonderful.
so yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming in.
Pastor, and it's a great pleasure.
Yeah, we'll see you again.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us for our 75th anniversary conversations, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Walking these streets, shadows fall, lost in a world, echoes call, searching for life, voices true. St. James Church in the heart of the blue. Glorify God, nurture all, share the gospel, hear the call. That is what we do at St. James, breaking chains, singing new names. Pushing through the night, feeling small, seeking the answers stall.